Basically, this declaration is, and nothing and no one can do anything about it. I think God's thinking, oh yeah? Really? I'm going to tell you, it's always a bad idea to oppose God. Always. It's a bad idea to lip off to God. To tell him who he is and what he can and what he cannot do. Whenever God tells us something, really the only proper response is like, yes, sir, yes, God, yes, Savior, absolutely. It's not that, no, not me, not on my watch. That couldn't happen here. Here's a little child-rearing tip. Maverick got his first certificate, right? His first certificate. Good for him. Here's a little child-rearing tip. Always raise your children to obey you. Always. Here's why. If they don't learn to obey you, how will they ever learn to obey God? You teach them to obey you and God. Why? Because you love them. That's why. There are enough tears in this life. To disobey God will only exponentially increase those tears. It will increase the pain in their life. The tears of disobedience are unnecessary. So for your child's good and for the glory of God, I go, please teach them obedience. That in the context of a loving relationship. I'll say you always will be glad you did. You'll always be sorry if you don't. There's more, of course, here in verse 9. It says, and the kings of the earth, that is the governmental systems, those systems who committed acts of immorality and lived sensuously with her, they too will cry. They too will weep and wail. That is lament. Yeah, that's what they're going to do. They're going to express their grief because they've also suffered great loss. And the merchants of the earth, that is the business people, they're going to weep and mourn over her. They're going to wail and cry out over loss because no one buys their cargoes anymore. Business has come to a stop. Business people are out of business. Right now, I read that our inflation rate is at about a 40-year high. Interest rates have gone up a lot this year, and from what I read, they're not done going up. And many people are suffering economic hardship. Maybe you're not one of them, and I'm glad if no one here is, but a lot of folks are. You go to the grocery store and you see it there. If you're renting where you live, or you hear all kinds of stories, or you have a business and you're renting, and people are taking those things up. The price of cars, price of lots of things have gone up. But just imagine when no one is buying anything. See, when business suffers, we all suffer. Says the merchants of these things who became rich, they're weeping and they're mourning for in 1 hour such great wealth has been laid waste. people who had a lot now have nothing. They suffered loss. God has shut it all down. They went from wealth to bankruptcy. God has given the world something to cry about, and they are crying. They are beside themselves. They didn't see it coming. Just like a little over 2 years ago, nobody here saw the pandemic coming. In my naivete, I was thinking, there's no way this can happen again 100 years later to this country or to this earth. Not with the technology, not with what we know. There's just no way. And it happened, didn't it? And in some ways, it's still happening. Who would have known? Never would have thought. But